Good morning, everybody. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Do me a favor, everybody. Welcome to our Midday Empowerment. If you would be so kind to like, comment, tag, and share. We'd be so eternally grateful today. Today has turned out to be a great day. I don't know where you are, but it's supposed to be 70 degrees where we are. And I'm grateful. Brother Jared, you always rock with us. Blessings from Savannah. Y'all let us know where y'all are watching from. We got Baltimore, my niece. We got our apostolic father that is on, and our presiding bishop and first lady. Blessings to both of you. Good morning. Bishop Levy, one of our assistants, and his wife. Blessings to you. Pastor Brown, one of our diocesan wives. Blessings to you. Blessings from Mississippi. Bless you, Sister Brown. So again, come on in. God bless you, Lady Birch. All right, listen, come on in, everybody. We're super excited about these moments that God gives us to be able to be a part, to share, to empower. Blessings from Chicago, Sister Branch. God bless you. Nashville in the house. We got some more Nashville up in here. And so again, will you do us a favor and like, comment, tag, and share? Like, comment, tag, and share. This is going to be a great day. Listen, it's no surprise. She was on with us last week and was outstanding. And she's getting ready to come back again and be a blessing to us. So I need you to like, comment, tag, and share. We got more from Maryland area. We got people that are watching us. So thank you. That's Tom said and Pastor Birch, and we honor. Listen, let me honor all of our leadership. I want to honor we've already honored our apostolic father, but I want to honor Bishop Ford and his wife, and Bishop Levy and his wife, Bishop Moore and his wife, and everybody. Blessings to you. So listen, we're not going to elongate the time. Just a couple of things while you're coming in and while you're sharing. Thank God we have some of our staff and leadership on, apostolic fathers and everybody, executive council. You have been recognized. So let me say this today as we begin. Remember, next month is here next week. So y'all understand this. Next month is here next week. So we'll be in March next week. We have our spring conference. Now remember, we only have a few seats, only 200 seats. We're not trying to, have the large numbers that we normally have because we still want to be safe. And even though the numbers are coming down, so we want you to register. I want you to hear me. Registered, and I know you can make it to heaven if your name is if you're saved and your name's on the road. But if your name is on this road, you won't make it here. Now I don't know where you're gonna go, but you won't be there. Amen. But on a very serious note, everyone, we need you to register. We need you to make sure that you are signed up. We would love to see your face. It is going to be virtual as well, but we would love to have you in the building, and it's going to be an excellent time. So again, and register and do all those great things. All right, listen, today I need a few more of you to share, but what I don't want to do is elongate the time, because I want to make sure that this young lady has ample time to speak to us. Listen, she was outstanding last week. She shared with us, and it was such a blessing. And I am super excited that she consented today to be a part. We got people already receiving their books in the mail, all that good stuff. And so we appreciate that. Listen, she pastors here, the New Bethlehem Baptist Church. She's a part of the Full Gospel movement. She has earned doctorate from colleges that we honor and respect. And she's a great preacher. She's an intellectual. And she's been teaching from her book called Leading with a Left Hand. And last week we got on to chapter 3. And it's important that you know this, and I'm bringing it on. But it's important that you know your story becomes the power and education and inspiration for other people. And today, I'm super excited for her story and for her putting it into a form where we can all glean from it. And that is in the person of Pastor Dr. Lisa Weir. She's also a bishop, newly consecrated bishop in the Lord's Church. So will y'all help me welcome her? Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
How are you feeling today?
I am great. Glad to be alive.
Listen, right now, that's a great word. Just
Yes,
glad to
sir.
be alive.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
woke up this morning and it put a smile on my face because my eyes open.
that's right.
And,
That's
and,
right.
and,
It's a
and
blessing.
yeah, it's a definite blessing. So listen, we don't even have to go through a whole lot of formalities. We went through all the introduction last week. You ain't got nothing to prove today. Let me say this before she begins. This is great for pastors. This is great for business men and women, entrepreneurs, and then it's great for just everyday life. So we're putting it in a context where everybody can glean from it. But I want to be sure that, and I already told her when we start our pastor sessions, we're going to bring her in to do some specific teaching for the pastors. Because remember, she's just doing an overview right now, and the points that she did from her overview last week were touching people's lives. So today, I'm going to release her. Here's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to come down and I'm just going to let you talk today. And, I
Okay.
will let you have the day, and then I'll come back at the end and we can, ask a couple questions and things of that nature. So have at it. It's in your hands. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me back. And thank you to everyone for sharing with us today. The book is entitled Leading with a Left Hand, and it is available at leadingwithalefthand.com. And it's not just for lefties, it's not even just for leaders, but we're all leading in some capacity in our homes, in our lives, but particularly in ministry, and as public leaders in a very, very trying time. And so this book, I had shared last week, I had been trying to get it out for some time, and it was the Lord's timing that it come out in this pandemic season. And so I released it last fall, and it's just been blessing. We talked through the general context of this left-handedness of life, where we feel like we are in the weak position. The hand we've been dealt now has challenged us all. But even in the midst of the larger global context of challenge that we're all dealing with, we each have our own individual contextual challenges. And the book is really about understanding that we can acknowledge these challenges, we can confront them. And even if God doesn't remove them, like Paul's thorn in the flesh, we can be powerful with them. We can succeed in carrying out the mission of God for our lives, even with our challenges. And so that's what the book is about. And each chapter starts with just setting the stage through my own contextual challenges. And I go through several, and I'm sure many who are listening, we could list a plethora of challenges that we each deal with on a daily basis. But I just picked the ones that the Lord laid on my heart to address in this volume. There may be another volume that I come back in, but the majority of the chapter is really scripturally dealing with what I've learned, and how to address them as I preached through not just different texts, but preached through my own life. And those who are preachers know that as we preach, it really does not just help the people, but it helps us first, because it has to speak to us first. And so a lot of my healing, a lot of my help and strength came through what God revealed to me in His Word. And so, chapter 1 was setting context. Chapter 2 was entitled Autism Mom, and how I handled raising a son with autism while everybody else was soccer mom, basketball mom. I'm autism mom, and the blessing and God's glory being revealed through that, and how He had trusted me with the special assignment. Chapter 3, we talked about last week, was called She's Not Supposed to Be Here. And it was really about anybody who's leading and dealing with any kind of authority challenges, and how it is not our responsibility to help others feel comfortable with where God has appointed us to or what He's called us to do. It's our responsibility to walk in our calling. And so we ended last week getting into chapter 4, which is where I want to pick up. Chapter 4 was called Getting on My Nerves. And so the misleadingness of the title might lead you to think that I'm talking about different things that just irked me. But really, it was talking about when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease in which your body attacks the myelin sheath that surrounds your nerves. And my MS presently is in my spine. And so I operate daily from a base level of pain. Now, once I was diagnosed with the MS, I've started going through all of the things the doctor was saying to do, all the different medications and procedures and so forth. And I found that each one had a terrible side effect on my body. Everything was taking me through all kinds of changes. And sometimes that can't be avoided in order to. But what I learned in the midst of that was that God.
We can't hear you real quick. Click I think you're muted. Okay. All right. So she's gonna go out and come back in. Let me say a couple things real quick while she's doing that. Listen, everybody, your story matters, your life matters, and here's what happens. You have to learn how to take the power of what you've gone through and use it as fuel for your future. Don't become embittered by it, but everything you go through has purpose in your life. And so she's back talking about you're getting on my nerves. All right, unmute yourself because I still can't hear you. And isn't that something? When you start getting into things that want to help people, there's always going to be a level of a fight, and it seems like it's one of those days today. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can help do it. I tell you what. Go out and come back in one more time. Let's try it again. All right. Listen. The devil is alive. It's so interesting. Um, and you have technical issues because I believe today is a day to empower somebody and to really help somebody. You have challenges and you got to learn how to adapt and move forward. But the reality is everybody that has a level of disadvantage is leading with a left hand. And that's all of us that are challenged, disadvantaged. You're leading with a left hand, and don't ever feel like that because you have a disadvantage that you can't win. Listen, you just got to learn how to take what you have and make it work for you, and that's what she's doing. All right, she's back one more time. Let's see. I don't know what happened. We cannot hear you. While she's working on that. Uh, let me just say to you all, don't ever let your disadvantage be the thing that controls what your outcome is. All along the way, there are going to be things that will happen. All along the way, you're going to have issues that will arise. But at the end of the day, between you and God, you control the narrative. So it's up to you to determine what you allow to be the controlling factor in your life. And so, take a minute, you got to wrestle with it, sit with it, let it hit. But when it's all said and done, you control the narrative. All right, let's try this one more time. I think she may be ready now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Just perfect.
See,
This
the
is
enemy
this
doesn't want them to
technology.
get this word today. You see that?
He does not, but we got you. That's all that matters.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry about that. I guess it's internet
It's
issues.
it's technology.
Um,
It happens to all of us.
okay.
Don't feel bad.
But I'm glad to be back. So I was getting ready to dig into my fourth chapter, which I had started talking about last time, which was when I was diagnosed with MS.
Right,
And I'm not sure how much everybody heard, but it's the chapter is called "Getting on My Nerves," and it
right,
deals with the MS, which attacks. It's an autoimmune disease which attacks your nervous system, and so um, your body starts attacking the myelin sheaths that surround your nerves, and they don't actually know what causes it, but there are various medications and therefore things that I therefore started using, which then caused a plethora of health problems, such as causing my hair to fall out, um, and causing fatigue, a lot of pain. And so even today I am always at a baseline threshold of at least a 3 in terms of pain. And I learned to manage the MS without medications because I decided that I wanted to try to do it a different way. And one of the things I learned was it's okay to try some different ways to manage whatever God has given you to deal with. I did not take what the doctor said as the only way it had to be done, and I gave myself a timeline though. So I'm not in the book endorsing that everybody tell their doctor. I'm not, I don't have to do that. No, I gave myself a timeline and I said, let me try some holistic practices. Started going to chiropractic and various things, and I do yoga. I was telling you, I do yoga every day now, and it really helps. And one of the things I learned was that we just really don't take care of ourselves
absolutely.
to the best that we could, and a lot of things we're dealing with we really do have the grace to manage more than what we are managing well. But we have to employ the practices to make it happen. And so I've been off of all the MS meds now for about 5 years. And God has blessed me to be able to manage it holistically. But the main point that I got from that whole experience was to be open to another way to do things, and to not necessarily conform to what the world says we have to do about things. You don't have to take any diagnosis lying down because God has the ultimate say in all matters. And so, between you, your doctor, and
Hmm.
your prayer life, you can really strategize how to manage anything. I think one of the biggest fears I had when I got the diagnosis was, am I going to be able to keep working? Am I going to be able to keep preaching? Am I going to be able to travel the way I've been traveling? And preaching takes a lot of stamina, I'm still there.
Still there.
Preaching takes a lot of stamina, and so I was really worried about my physical ability to keep up with what I had to do. There is a grace for every season and every reason, and so that takes me to chapter 5, which is called Gray Matters. So Gray Matters uh, deals with Some people call it the Baltimore riot, but we called it the uprising.
The uprising.
Because it was really about a community exploding from years and years of frustration. We see things on the news. We see, the acting out, and ask the question, why are they destroying their own community? When people have been living in certain conditions, not just for a few years, but for generations, it is literally a kettle ready to explode. And so the death of Freddie Gray back in 2015 was just the match that lit a fire that was already ready.
Absolutely.
And because you were in meetings with us as well. We were right there at ground zero, and I didn't know that God had been preparing me for that the whole time I had been in Sandtown. My context growing up was I grew up in the county, so I did not have much exposure to a neighborhood like Sandtown where I pastor. Now, I wasn't rich, but I grew up in my parents were both teachers. I grew up in a comfortable home. So, when we took the bologna and cut the 4 slits in it and put it in the frying pan, and thought we were eating steak, we didn't know, that we weren't rich. We were good. But, but it was a comfortable home. So I grew up there, went to college, and then I was serving at Morning Star Baptist Church in Catonsville, and I had a budget for my ministries. I was doing a whole lot of things. Then God called me to New Bethlehem in Sandtown. So I put that out there so everybody can also understand that God may be preparing you for something you weren't expecting. Absolutely. Or that you think is beneath you, or that's it's not going to be enough money, it's not going to be enough comfort. But God knows what he's doing, and don't overlook small beginnings. Despise not the small beginning. And so he was preparing me for Sandtown, and surprisingly, they received me well. And I immediately, put on my jeans and started walking the community and engaging. And I absolutely love being there. I do. I stopped looking at it as a them and started looking at it as an us. And they respected that. And so by the time the uprising happened, I already had, a loving, close relationship with the community that allowed us to really be a ground zero, a hub for the people. What I learned was, as I met with various groups and parties who claimed to want to help, there were so many agendas on the table.
So many.
You've got to know who you are. You've got to know your own history. You've got to know what your true needs are and have discernment to recognize who is really there for you and who is really there for an opportunity from you. Because sure enough,
say that one more time. Who is there for you and who's there for opportunity from you?
Yes. Because as soon as the cameras left, so did the opportunists. So did persons who wanted to come and partner and do this, that, and the other. And those of us, who were part of the community are still there, still doing the work, without all of the resources that were promised and so forth. I learned to rely first and foremost on God. People are always looking for a knight in shining armor to ride in, and with a grant, with a check to save. When our fire came, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute, we rebuilt and did $1 million project off totally private funding. We did not take a dime from any special interest group, from the government, anywhere. It was totally privately funded from within when we rebuilt. And nobody had done a privately funded project like that ever in Sandtown, especially not Black people. I learned that the community, the average household income, not individual income, but household income,
Households.
was only 25,000 annually,
Absolutely.
and that most of the families were generationally impoverished due to mass incarcerations, homicides, and drugs. And so when
Absolutely.
you look at the context, you must then have a heart of compassion. If you're not going to examine context and allow God to help you see people the way He sees them, then you're not going to be effective in community leadership. Victim blaming, I talk about that in the book. Victim blaming is very, very heavy. Looking down on people for where they are, how they got to where they are. But for the grace of God, there go I. It's not by my design that I was born where I was born in the family I was born. It was God's plan. And so, everything we go through should give us a greater sensitivity. And this is one of the things I talk about in the book as well. It should give us a greater sensitivity to other people and to their plight and to their situation, that we can go in and empower them.
Yes.
And so our constant plan of community engagement is all about empowerment. And to this day, as soon as pandemic hit, we're on the street knocking on doors, helping people get registered to get vaccinated, making sure they have masks, making sure they have what they need. Understand, you can't do everything, but God has given you a grace to do something. He's given you a grace to help people in some kind of way. There are really three tiers of social engagement. When we talk about, social justice, there are really three tiers. One is awareness. That's the first tier. Maybe you have a grace to help with awareness, help people in your community understand the health issues that are affecting our people. Maybe it's an awareness of the political things that are going on. A lot of people don't understand how what's going on with Russia and Ukraine right now is going to drive prices up for us, how it's going to affect us, and why we should care. So awareness is really key for community leadership. The next one is activism, getting out there and doing things. The feeding people, the providing masks and helping them get vaccinated, those types of things. That's the activism. And then the third tier is advocacy. And so, I was on a talk show once, and they were saying, is the church relevant? Is the church doing anything? I said, a lot of church leaders are sitting in meetings in City Hall, in city capitals, helping to affect policy. And that's the advocacy side of social engagement. And so everybody has a grace to do something. And one of the things that I learned and started doing out of the gray matters crisis was not only working in all three, but helping people to understand that there is a place for them to be engaged. We've got to do more than go out and hold up signs. We've got to participate even beyond that. Yes, awareness, activism, and advocacy. There is a place for each and every one of us in that. So that's Gray Matters. The next chapter is then called The Roof is on Fire. The roof is on fire. And so right after, the year after the uprising, so we're dealing with all of that, we launched our building project. We were just so confirmed by all of the work that God had given us to do, that we really needed to create a place. And this is really important. This was before the pandemic hit. God showed us that the church has to be the center of the community again. It has to be the hub of hope. And
that the doors have to be open to do more than shout.
Yes,
Now that's our
absolutely.
problem. We're gonna shout, but we have to be the center for more than that. And so we launched our building project, not so much so that we could have more space to shout, although that was part of the plan, but the whole design was to have a campus where people could come and be empowered for
Yes.
life. And so we launched it in January. September, I got a call at 6:30 in the morning. I answer the phone. Who's calling me this time of morning? It must be important. The voice on the other end says your church is on fire.
Lord,
Now, any pastor knows those are the words nobody wants to hear.
nobody wants to hear.
And pre-pandemic, the building was everything,
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we are faced with the crisis of all crises. And this actually wasn't my second fire. We'd had a fire in our administrative building during my second year of pastoring. So I was like, oh God, why are you giving me all these like grown leader problems? I'm not old enough in leadership to be managing the things you're giving me. And I really feel like it aged me, not just in maturing me as a leader, but it aged me in life. A lot of us, we age. Like, I don't remember that little gray in the front of your head before the pandemic, Bishop Nelson, but
Listen.
I see it. But this stuff ages you.
Yes.
And so the building burns, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So one of the things I said in the book was, some crises in life, it hits you all at once. It's like,
Right.
knocks you right down. This thing, it didn't hit me at once. It was like when you get that needle, the child gets vaccinated and they're like, oh my gosh, this hurt. Oh, this really hurts. And then they start hollering after like a few seconds. This was one of those slow seep into you, sink in, and just drag you into a place of the deepest possible pain. And I talked to pastors who'd gone through, building projects and all kind of stuff. It was compounded because typically when you do the building project, which was what we had been planning to do anyway, you have a building, and you've planned out, where you're going, how you're going to, do that while you're constructing. The building was literally like just taken from us overnight. It was gone. And so, your home is gone and you've started a project, but like you had like 5 years to go. You hadn't even started looking for somewhere to go. Then on top of that, I had the contextual challenge of I didn't have the time to educate the congregation in this whole process, how it works.
Absolutely.
And when you have a lot of people who aren't homeowners, you have to do that because they've never been through that in their personal life. And so for us to walk through it together was a whole nother level of challenge. And so it just accelerated everything. And the compounded stress of that project, I cannot begin to describe what it was like. 6 months of recovery, going through the insurance process, the assessment of what all was in the building, and then recovering that, then going through designing the new building, and are we going to stay here? Are we going to look somewhere else? What are we supposed to do? And then, bringing a team on board, vetting architects and all of that. And so it was 2.5 years later when we walked back into the building. And as I said in the book, I did not recognize the person who was looking back at me in the mirror. The things that I went through, the demons that we had to battle,
Yes.
um, from within the church and without. And then the mental stress of knowing people are watching, can she get them back home? Can she do it? And I remember having a conversation with you, and you were like, you keep saying you, this is God's project.
Absolutely.
It's the pressure. And I realized the pressure was never on me in the first place. And so I don't know who that's for, but the pressure is not on you. The only pressure you should be feeling is making sure you're listening clearly to God, because he really
Yes.
will guide you, and he really will guide you through every step of the
Yes.
way. And my sermonic example here is Noah. So Noah was told, crisis is coming, get ready, build the ark. And so Noah is going through this 100 years
Hmm.
of, people ridiculing him, looking at, it's not in the text, but we know it happened.
Right.
People
Right. Right.
talking about him. Look at this mess. Can he do it? What's going on here? Did God really say? And then it's not confirmed until 100 years later, that he was moving in the will of God. And then this is what really got me, and we overlook it in the text. When God comes back and says, okay, it's time to board, he only gives him 7 days to get everybody.
Right.
He comes back, he
Absolutely.
says, in 7 days, flood is coming. So it's been 100 years that God has left him working on this ark, and he didn't know when it was going to happen. And all of a sudden, bam, you have 7 days to get ready. I learned that you just have to keep doing the last thing God told you to do. And then when it's time, you've got to trust your trainer
Listen.
and your training, and believe that he has prepared you for what he's brought you to do. He doesn't always give you a whole lot of time. And that was like the big thing I got out of that. He really did prepare you for this. You didn't know it. You didn't see it. This 100 years you've been working and doing all this, that, and the other. You've got to trust that, when God says, I'm moving, you really are ready to do it. You are ready. And so that was, the roof is on fire. The last chapter is called Pieces of Me. And if y'all think I was transparent thus far, Pieces of Me was like, oh, after all of that, we get back in the building. I'm in a car accident that re-injures my spine, because I already have spine problems from the MS. So I'm in a hit and run car accident that takes a year to settle. My spine is all messed up, so now I'm back in aggressive therapy. My family then is under like severe attack, me and my children. And then the drama of a church having been in, we call it our wilderness, while we were out of our building for 2.5 years, moving back into this building now. And things always go wrong with building projects, so you end up with less than you had planned to have. And then it's like, who's still here, who's not here, all of these things, who left, who gave up on the vision. And then people come back in, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And so then you're trying to pull everything back together. On our 1 year homecoming anniversary Sunday, I had to announce that we had to close because of the pandemic. So don't ever think how much God will give you to bear. Because I was just like, wow. After all of that, and I think I'm finally gonna, get back into the groove and the rhythm of stuff.
Yep.
I'm talking to somebody right here. You feel like it's been one thing after another, after another, after another. Listen, I've
Listen.
been there, and that's why this chapter was called Pieces of Me, because I was literally mentally, physically, even spiritually, I was in
pieces. I did not know who I was. When I looked in the mirror, I did not recognize myself. And
Absolutely.
so when the doors had to close and the world shut down, this is when I realized that I had been having a nervous breakdown and didn't realize it. I sat down. I bought myself a massage chair because I was like, well, I'm stuck in the house. I'm gonna get a massage chair. I sat down in the chair and a sense of peace just it washed over me, like when Jesus stepped in that room with the disciples and they were all
Mhm.
sitting there worrying, what are we gonna do?
What we
And
gonna
he
do?
walked in and said, peace. And it was like, whew. And I put my feet up and I was like, wow, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. You know, nobody's waiting for me to do anything, be anything, get anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We are stuck in the house.
Absolutely.
And I just smiled and I said, you know what? This is my sabbatical. I needed a sabbatical. And I was like, here it is. Is this the way I wanted it? Is this the way I would have imagined it was coming? Absolutely not. But this was it. God gave me exactly what I needed. And I went back to
Absolutely.
Noah. Noah was sent into the ark, and you know, he knew it was going to rain. Was it 40 days, 40 nights? But he was in
Mhm.
the ark much longer than that.
It sure was.
And I really wish that Noah had kept a journal. And I talk about this in the book. I wish he had journaled like what he thought about, um, what kind of internal housekeeping did he do while he's in that ark? Because this is where pandemic put us. It locked us in, and we didn't know what the world was going to be like when we came back out. You know,
Absolutely.
no one knew that God didn't send him into that ark so he could fix the world. He sent him into the ark so he could start everything over from scratch. And
That's so
maybe
good.
Noah was selected because clearly Noah was not an ark builder. He that was not his profession.
Not at
Nor
all.
was he a sailor. That was not his profession. So what qualified Noah to be the one to do the ark and be used to start the world over? Maybe it was that Noah had an innovative spirit, even
Mm.
at his age. He's over 100 years old now. You know, you're never too old to have an innovative spirit. God needed somebody who wasn't going to come out and try to put things back the way they were, but through whom he could use a seed
Yep.
to start something brand new.
Absolutely.
I said, this is my new start. And I used that time to deal with the stuff in my ark. Because remember, he was closed up in that ark with two of every kind. So imagine how bad that ark smelled by the end of those 40 days. Every day he had to get up and tend to all of the things that were living in that ark. That was my time to deal with the things that were living in my ark that I would not have wanted to deal with and that did not smell so good. And that's why a lot of people couldn't take the quarantine, because you were stuck with yourself and everything that stinks within you. We don't like to talk about these things, but it's true. And,
It's
and this
true.
was really time to get it together. So and I'm gonna end with this one. I thought being a Christian exempt me from burning out. Christians
Mm.
don't burn out. Here's the thing. Being a Christian gave me the tools that I should have used to not have to burn out, but I didn't use them. And we cover up so much of unhealthy practices by saying, oh, I'm working for the Lord. And, we blame it on, I had to do this, I had to do that. No, we've got to start employing better self-care, better habits, taking better
Absolutely.
care of ourselves, and managing what God has given us better so that we don't end up in the place many of us were in before the pandemic happened. And so pieces of me was about putting myself back together. And maybe some pieces didn't need to be part of who I am. Some people had to be let go. Some things had to be let go. But I'm in a place of wholeness now.
Absolutely.
as I move forward, that, I'm not worried about, who's coming back, who's not coming back. Some people aren't coming back. They're just not coming back, period. And some people didn't need to come back. And you know what? Whatever God wants to do now, I'm okay with it. It's okay because I'm leading with a left hand and I'm not ashamed of my left-handedness anymore.
Listen, let me say this, because I know we had some challenges today, but this has been worth it. Now, again, y'all, this is a high overview of the book. It has a
And now my
workbook.
sound is messed up and I can't hear you correctly. Lord have mercy.
You can't hear me now?
Yeah, I could tell you're talking, but my sound is messed up.
It's okay. We good.
Okay.
We at the end of the thing.
Okay.
But let me just say this to everybody. Listen to me. I want to make sure that you get this. Now you can sow the information at the bottom of the screen, but I'm going to put her website up again. If you order your book since last week, people have ordered. They've already received their books. So please make sure that you go get the book. And I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it. There's the workbook. Pastors, you can use this for even your leadership. If you don't necessarily want to bring her in, you could bring her in to do it, but you can use it yourselves for leadership and training and just helping to get through issues. Read it for yourself. Just to impact your life. As you can see, so many things have happened, but she has taken all of that and allowed it to become fuel that is even empowering you and I to understand that even though we might be leading with the left hand, because I'm left-handed too, we might be leading with a left hand, the reality is we're still going to win. And that no matter what challenge happens, you just take it. And we know this, that all things work together for good to them that love God and to those who are called according to his purpose. So listen, take the pieces of you that you need and the ones that you don't, you let them go, because we go through a process of evolution all the time. Our cells are regenerating and all those kind of great things anyway. And so at the end of the day, we just need to make sure that we use what we have and make those things work for us. Listen, I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thank y'all. Y'all are sewing. Y'all rock with us on today. Listen, as always, we try to provide quality content for you. Go again. I'm gonna put it up one more time, and this won't be the last that you'll see of her. Again, she's already consented to do some stuff for war with us, and you pastors and leaders, we got you. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a banner year for you, because some people have been through some pain that's going to help you succeed. Well, listen, everybody, peace and blessings. Don't forget to register. That's March the 24th, 25th. Register, because again, you can't get in if your name not on the list. And so when the roll is called up yonder, I hope you'll be there. So I'm looking forward to seeing y'all real soon. Peace and blessings. All right, y'all, we out.